All right, good evening. My name is Bob Sylvester, and I'm the Director of Education and Programs here at the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. And on behalf of MMoCA's Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's conversation between Federico Uribe and Laura Dickstein Thompson. Presenting sponsorship for Federico Uribe Metamorphosis has been provided by Paula and David Kramer. In addition to thanking the sponsors who helped bring this exhibition to the museum, MMoCA also acknowledges the Ho-Chunk people on whose ancestral land Madison was built, along with the 11 other First Nations of Wisconsin. As always, please remember to silence all cell phones and electronic devices. Though before you put your phones away, be sure to follow the museum on social media or sign up for our e-newsletter to stay in the loop about additional talks and programs in association with Federico Uribe, as well as other upcoming exhibitions, film screenings, and workshops. Federico Uribe's artwork resists classification, emerging from intertwining ordinary objects in surprising ways that maintain a formal reference to art history. Born in Bogota, Colombia, Uribe studied art at the University of Los Andes in Bogota and received an MFA at the State University of New York at Purchase. He later studied and worked in Cuba, Mexico, Russia, and England before settling in Miami. Uribe's work has been widely shown and beloved at galleries and museums throughout the United States, Asia, and Europe, including a feature at the 2019 Venice Biennale. In 1996, Uribe abandoned his paintbrushes and canvases in favor of household objects, such as plastic cutlery and colored pencils. He began to carefully observe, collect, juxtapose, and combine this alternative media and turn them into unusual instruments of a new aesthetic, full of color, irony, and lively playfulness, as you've already likely seen for yourselves. Dr. Laura Dickstein Thompson is the guest curator for Metamorphosis. Thompson has held leadership positions in museums for 3 decades, including as founding director of education and curator of KidSpace from 2002 to 2023 at MMoCA in North Adams, Massachusetts. There, she developed community partnership programs exploring social justice, compassion, and socio-emotional learning, and curated 30 exhibitions with renowned artists, including Wendy Red Star Absalaga, Children of the Large-Beaked Bird, which was on display at MMoCA last winter. We'll begin tonight with Federico giving a short presentation about his work, and then Laura will join him for a conversation afterwards. Please join me in welcoming Federico Uribe.
Is it working? Well, first, I want to thank you for the curiosity to come to listen to me talking. I'm not a very good talker, but I'm here. I'm obsessed, completely obsessed with this idea. I see objects in a different way. I'm highly dyslexic, and I never see objects in the way other people see them. I see them as facts, let's say, only as textures, forms, colors, detached from the use of them. People relate to objects through their use. I relate to objects through their forms, textures, colors. So I can manipulate them on my head because I don't read them the same way that people read them. So a bullet is essentially a golden cylinder. A pencil is essentially a hard brush stroke, any size. So every of these objects is not really what it is what it can be. So I'm obsessed with the idea of finding beauty on objects, finding beauty everywhere, and doing my best to make things, especially things that are related to pain, into beautiful objects. So I make, with the exception of pencils, the rest of the bullets and surgical instruments and X-rays that related to pain, I do my best to challenge my own eyes and create something that put the people's perception in a different way, see things in a different way. I like doing it. I enjoy my work. I smile all day, most part of the day, when I find out these things in my head. I'm challenged in every object I find because I have to find a way to make it work, and I find a way to make it to make sense somehow. I'm not intelligent enough to be a conceptual artist. So I do simple statements. People or as kill trees to make books. So I disassembled books to make trees. People kill cows and cattle to make shoes, so I disassembled shoes to make cows. I made a horse out of saddles because that's the use of the horse. I made a sheep made out of scissors because people shear the sheep. I made turtles out of hard hats because they have a hard hat. So these are pretty simple statements, but it isn't a statement that make you take things back to where they came from somehow. I have more trees than I have here of things that are made out of wood. There one here made out of tennis rackets and one made out of hangers. But I have one made out of cardboard boxes. I have one made out of crutches. I have one made out of furniture. All these things made out of wood, I return them to be trees. And I like this idea, and it makes me smile, and I hope it makes smile other people. Okay. Let's move on with this. I have some pictures here of objects that are not in the show. I do objects. I do all sort of objects, and nowadays people give me stuff. People. Last time I did this show, somebody came and said, "Do you want guitar strings?" And I thought he was a musician. No, he owns the factory that makes guitar strings. He sent me literally a ton of guitar strings. And he sent me saxophone reeds, and he sent me drum heads, which are there. And I wasn't expecting that. But nowadays people give me stuff. The surgical instruments came to me. I did look for the X-rays, but nowadays people give me stuff. So any of you have enough stuff of something? Just one day I figured out what it is and what it means and what can I do with it? How can I make it relate to my own life and relate to my own? I spent a very big part of my life in farms because that's what my family did. So I relate everything to nature. Somehow in my head I want to go back to this landscape that I grew up in, and I reconstruct this landscape. But let's see the slides. So I show you other pieces of other things that I do. This is called butterflies in the stomach. These are all shotgun shells and bullets. I like the idea of humor. I like the idea of introducing humor into my work. I don't like the idea of pretending that I'm more knowledgeable or more serious or more intelligent than other people. I just like the idea that since I listen to things the same way I see objects. Since I'm so dyslexic, people say butterflies in the stomach, and I literally imagine butterflies in the stomach. People say I'm all ears, and I literally see them with ears all over the head. So this is the way I see the world. So I always play with these sayings that people take for granted. I think that they're just communicating an idea. I listen to them literally everywhere. So I use them in my work all the time. Next. These are all color pencils. That's called the dentist. That's a very big piece. I have a garden in my house in Miami, and I have a garden in my house in Colombia, and it's lush like this. I love gardening with flowers. I love coming here to Wisconsin, but I have to live in a place that I have to have a garden, or I get uneasy. I have to have a garden all the time. I work a lot with color pencils. I believe that color pencils is something that people relate to their own childhood, even when they have a dysfunctional childhood like me. There is a moment of their own life and in their own intimacy that was always good. Even if your childhood was bad, the moment of color pencil was always good. So I like working with color pencils because I do believe that unconsciously people read it that way. Somehow it goes back to their moments of their life when they did color pencils. And unconsciously people smile at this idea. And I like it. Next. These are more pieces on X-rays. I really like this idea. It's not very successful commercially, but it doesn't really matter to me. I just want, most of these things I really do it because I want to see them. I want to see them myself. I want to see that I can succeed on the challenge of making disappear the X-rays and the pain. There are a lot of pain in all these pictures. There are people who have nails and things on their, prostheses or whatever they call it. And when I cut these pencils, these X-rays, I see all these surgeries and all these people with all these things, and I do things on this pain, and I'm glad to see that whatever the pain was, now it's a flower, and I like that. Next. Those are shoelaces. A long time ago, Puma, the company, gave me 2,000 pairs of shoes, and gave me a ton of shoelaces. And I did a lot of paint. I did a lot of objects with shoelaces. With Puma, I built a lot of animals out of these shoes that people gave me. And I painted a lot of paintings. I made an exhibition with the gallery that represents me called Painting on a Shoestring. And I like it because it's essentially a flexible line of color. So you can literally paint with this. You weave it and you paint with this because that's a very easy object to use. There are other objects that are hard to use, but shoelaces are essentially a line of color, flexible line of color. So it's perfect for this. I do this on a phone with straight pins. Next. Those are books. That's hard. That's hard. That's really hard because books is a rectangular of color, hard. So it's not flexible. If you want to keep the identity of the book, which I try to do in all the objects I use, I don't want the identity of the object disappear. I wanted people to be able to see what it's made of. But books are challenging. But I like it. I keep working on them. And I like books. I listen to books all day while I work. I listen to books 6 or 7 hours a day. I work between 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I like it. It's not like I'm sacrificing. I'm sacrificing when I'm with people. That's a sacrifice. that's sacrificing. But working is I like it. I have 3 employees. They work from 7 to 3, and I work from 9 to 8 every day, 6 days a week. And I'm always doing different things because I have ideas that I have to see. And it's complicated because sometimes I interrupt what I'm doing because I had an idea and I have to see it. But I keep doing it. That's a Canadian canoe with skis, and this is a boat. These are these saws for people that fish on ice, and this is an outside engine. These are all parts of boats. I made about 5 of these boats. These are outdoor sculptures. My grandfather had a house on the beach in Colombia. We still have that house, and there was always in a fishing town, not in a city, in a fishing town, and there was always these boats upside down, and I always saw insects on them, And one day, I save enough money to buy the boats and to build these things that I always, and I dream about building this huge, like really with a very big boat. There's these cranes that put boats on decks, and I imagined that I could build an insect with these cranes, and then they might make the insect move. And I like that idea. I don't know if you're ever going to make it, but I wish. Right now. Next. This is electrical wire. The New World Symphony, Michael Tilson Thomas is a friend of mine, and they changed all the wiring on the sound system of the New World Symphony in Miami. And they gave me a ton of wiring. So I decided to paint on wire. I have done a few paintings on wire. I like it because different from shoelaces. It gives you the possibility of doing the three-dimensional, the flowers can be out because the wire has a memory that keep the objects out. So it's much more textural than shoelaces or other work that I have done with objects. But I like this painting in particular. These are 100 pianos. I disassembled 100 pianos. These are the piano keys and the piano hammers, and that was a stupid amount of work. That was insane. That was insane. I had an idea with pianos, and I went to this place that fixed pianos in Miami. And I met this guy, and I say, I would like to buy a useless piano. And the guy say, what are you doing with it? I say, I don't know. I just want to say, he said, I have 100 pianos that are useless. You want them? I said, sure. How much? $2,000. They were bad. They were in a really bad shape. And we have to disassemble all of them, and we have to cut the keys on half. This is thick, like this. This is all nailed, and it's thick like this. And it's really heavy. These are about 8 feet by 6 feet. They're big and heavy, very heavy. But I have a lot of musicians friends, and I always wanted to do something with musical instruments that wasn't exactly a portrait of people playing music. I want to make the instrument itself be the music itself. So this is my music. This is my intention of making music. I love those. I saw those. This is part of the ton of guitar strings and saxophone reeds these people gave me. So this is a violin head. These are drum heads, saxophone reeds, and guitars, and hundreds of guitar strings. I still have a lot. This is my version of the scream. There are all sorts of screams in life. People scream for happiness also. When they see Maluma or something like that. When they see a singer, they're like, ah! So, same thing. But I'm not complaining. I have no reason to complain. I'm a very happy man. These are neckties. This is 25 feet long. I have a friend in Colombia that imports neckties, Italian neckties to Latin America. And neckties used to be 8 centimeters wide, and now they're 7. So he had 4,500 neckties that he had no use of. And they were beautiful, and they were new, completely new. Italian silk neckties. I loved it. I was born for this. Manipulating silk is much better than manipulating plastic, or much better, I do this in Colombia. I have a studio in Colombia. Unfortunately, I don't go often enough. because I'm busy, but I built this in Colombia. And it's a version of Rembrandt's The Night Watch, but happening in the tropics where I was born. What would have happened if Rembrandt had been in the tropics? Maybe would have put animals and snakes on a picture. I made a lot of paintings on neckties too, portraits. I made portraits of people with neckties. I think that's it. These are part of the same painting, but details of it, you can see the neckties. And these are screws. I made 27 of these sculptures called Everybody Gets Screwed. And I have very few left, but that was hard. That was hard work, because the screwdrivers are not really meant for that. So and nobody's hand is really meant for that. All day. It had the same sculpture in the inside. It's the only pieces that I do that are really sculpted essentially, because they're depending on the side of the screw and how much is screw in and out, it really is sculpted, which doesn't happen with other things. The other things I do them, the whatever is in the inside, and then I cover with the object. But these I literally sculpt with screws. I made that 20 years ago when I came to Miami. When I came to live in Miami. I think that's it. Okay, that's me. That's me with my things.